What's up, Metal Brethren? This is Titanic One coming at you again live from the dungeon with part two of the Danzig discography review. Now, before I go into the disc itself, I really want to say this is probably my favorite album ever recorded. It's going to get an unfairly high score, so you may have to check this one out for yourself to kind of see where I'm standing at with this. Honestly, I think this is the best offering that Danzig has ever slapped his name on. It's still part of the classic lineup. Another Rick Rubin produced album. Gonna go ahead and get into the album itself, and it is Danzig 2 Lucifuge. Now, honestly, I've said this before, but this is probably the worst artwork ever on a disc. I mean, you're seeing Glenn's man boobies here, and it's just not a great. This is the reprint album cover. If you ever seen the original album cover for this, it's really reminiscent of the Doors debut album cover. That being said, this came out in 1990. Was actually when I first got into the band, but this is honestly, I believe, the third album I ever owned by Danzig, and honestly, it's my favorite still to this day. I spin it all the time. I got a vinyl copy of it for my birthday from a very special lady in my life, and if you're going to own this album, I definitely recommend buying it on vinyl, but at the same time, it's very expensive on vinyl, being that it's been out of print for very many years. And yeah, let's just go ahead and get into Lucifuge here and get into some tracks. The Long Way Back from Hell, the track that kicks off this magnum opus, is just amazing. Another one that's great is Snakes of Christ. I may have hinted upon this in my artist review for Danzig, but I'm going to go ahead and say it again. That is a track that Glenn Danzig sued the Stone Temple Pilots over because the riff from Snakes of Christ sounds, well, the riff for Sex Type Thing by the Stone Temple Pilots sounds a whole hell of a lot like the riff for Snakes of Christ here. I don't know what happened with that. I maybe should have done a little bit more research before I dropped that knowledge on you. But at the same time, I really don't care that much about it, and I don't think you guys will either. So that's just a little interesting little tidbit of info about this. Moving on with some more tracks. Killer Wolf, very very good track. Very blues oriented. As much as pretty much the entirety of this album is very blues driven. It's such a great direction. I think Glenn Danzig's got a humongous voice for blues. I just really, really love what he did. I think this is Glenn's vocals at their peak. I think this is probably the best he's ever sounded in his entire career. And the production on this is just stellar. Another Rick Rubin produced album, like I probably already said. But let's keep going on with some tracks on here, some highlights. Tired of Being Alive, another really good one. Her Black Wings had a really awesome video. Really great song. Devil's Plaything is another great one. Another great track off here is 777. Then they kind of, after that track, they kind of bring it down a little bit with a really good ballad called Blood and Tears, which is kind of Glenn's homage to Elvis Presley. And then there's, a couple, I believe they're filler tracks. The last two tracks on Danzig 2 aren't the greatest, but the rest of the tracks and the sound on this record kind of sells it for me. That being said, I'm going to go ahead and rate Danzig 2 Lucifuge. I mean, if you don't know me and don't know what I'm going to say, especially being the fact that I really champion Glenn Danzig in almost all his endeavors, Danzig 2 Lucifuge is definitely a 5-star record. This record stands alone in the entire Danzig catalog. It's something I spin all the time. I cannot get sick of this record. This is actually my third CD copy of this. Plus, I have the vinyl now, and I spin the vinyl constantly. Whenever I turn on my vinyl player, Lucifuge is on there. But, that's just me. That's my opinion. I champion this band. Let me know what you guys think down here in the comments, though, Maybe I'm a fanboy, maybe I'm not, Go ahead and hit me up. Like and subscribe if you want to see more of me, hear more of what I've got to say. And I'll come back at you here to you real soon and continue this discography reviews for you guys, and keep it metal, guys. Later on.